All right, so we'll do our standard thing. Are there any writing-oriented things that you guys are curious about that we haven't discussed in the class? Things you've run into in your own personal writing that you're worried about, or stuff like that? Yeah.
I was just curious if you were done. You finished your magic system and your laws of right magic system. Did you finish that last time, or you needed?
Yeah, I think
You got to like. You started on rule 3.
You started mentioning the third one.
Oh yeah, the third law, which I said we will talk about, which we very well will probably still talk about. Sanderson's third law, Sanderson's humbly named third law. We will get to that. We're going to probably do a business class today, and then we'll get back to more world building next week and filling in.
bring it up next week.
What's that? Yeah, bring it up next week. Do it next week. Okay, yes?
You said to mention next time there was a business lecture to explain contracts and how to get a good agent.
Okay, so we'll go ahead and make a list of what we're going to talk about today, because I was going to talk about also self-publishing. And then we'll talk contracts and getting a good agent. Was there anything else I put on that list for next time?
Something like that.
All right. Any other questions then? Yes.
This doesn't have to do with that.
That's fine. That's what we'll do. Other questions first, and we'll dig into that.
Okay. So my story is an urban setting.
Okay.
And it's not quite fantasy.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm trying to figure out how to, like, the technology I'm writing about is not quite real, and it's not even possible in the real world.
Okay.
So how do you make it sound realistic?
You do the same sorts of things that we talked about last week. But you go beyond that. You're trying to make it feel like it could happen, but it really can't. A master of this was Michael Crichton. If you read any of his books, most of his science is really, 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 really theoretical, to the point of being magic. But he talks about it in such a brilliantly technical way that you can't find that dividing line of where he stopped talking about stuff that was actually scientifically plausible and moving into stuff that was completely scientifically unrealistic. He did this in Timeline, he did this in Jurassic Park. He of course did it in Sphere, but Sphere is completely out there. But he was really good at this, so that might be something to look at. Go read like the opening chapters of Timeline. And he talks about time travel and teleportation and things like that. And he starts with really good science and then moves into all of the theoretical sorts of things. The way to really do it, though, is be consistent and be rational. Be logical. I mean, people buy all the time completely fabricated science. For instance, the enhance that. Right? Enhancement. You guys know this from CIA, CSI or whatever. They're like, hey, that photo has a license plate. Enhance. Which, the pixels aren't there. The information isn't there. They're making up information. They're using magic to enhance those pixels. But we all accept that as realistic. In the Mission Impossible movies, they do like the realistic masks that they rip off, which is completely fabricated. We have nowhere near the technology to achieve some of these things, and yet they make them seem very realistic. And so being consistent and being plausible is really all you need to do. Do a little bit of research in the area so that you can talk about it intelligently. Then give it to some of your friends. Have them read it and ask them afterward, how realistic did this seem? But really, being consistent is your best friend with this. And also remember, you don't have to turn your urban fantasy science fiction thing into hard science fiction. As long as your book isn't about the science, you honestly, most readers will buy you say, this is how it works. Your main character doesn't understand how it works because your main character does not have a PhD in quantum physics. But this is how it works. And as long as you're consistent, readers will buy it. Other questions?